Hello and welcome to Sports Week. I'm your host Dan Tracy. I'm joined by my strike partner Tolu Shatadi. Tolu, it's another massive week of Premier League action around the corner, and we're going to go to the capital city of England. It's London. We've got a London derby, Tottenham versus West Ham. Two managers under massive amounts of pressure. Both teams need a win for different reasons, really. How is this one going to pan out in N17?
This is I never really want to use this terminology for people, but these are two dead men walking, to be honest. I think Thomas Frank is under immense pressure at Spurs. West Ham United, on the other hand, there's the question mark around whether or not Nuno is the man for the job. He's not made them safe. I don't think they're getting closer to safety, and they're getting further away from safety under Nuno. But you have to give the board some credit. They have backed him in the January window. They've allowed the likes of Callum Wilson and the German striker Nicholas Fulkrug leave, which is a big gamble. They've gone to Portugal and picked up a striker, and have also picked up another striker from the Serie A, which are two guys who are unproven in the Premier League. If you're fighting for relegation, I don't know why they did that, but what they're doing currently isn't working, so I don't blame them. For Spurs, I think that Conor Gallagher is a fantastic signing for Spurs, no doubt, but I think they've got a lot of similar players. They've got Paulinho, they've got Sarr, who's got legs. I feel they've got too many similar players in midfield, and it wouldn't hurt to get someone with a slight bit of creativity, which is, I think, what they've been missing. I think they put all their eggs in the Xavi Simons basket, which hasn't particularly worked. And with the likes of the winger who is currently injured, it's Kulusevski who is injured, and Madison who's also out. You'd think maybe they're going to the market and look for a bit more creativity. But I think that also points you in the direction that Thomas Frank is thinking. I think he feels like he can make the team very hardworking, almost like his Brentford team, and they'd be able to get the odd goal. Home form hasn't been the best for Spurs. Probably one of the worst teams at home, apart from teams in the relegation positions in the Premier League. And good thing for them is they play another team who are also horrible away from home in West Ham United. So it's that kind of game where whoever loses will be under pressure. I think if Nuno loses, he probably can still get by. But I think if Thomas Frank loses again to a West Ham United team that everyone agrees will probably get relegated at the end of the season, it's going to be very, very close to lights out for him.
Yes, you're right in the sense of the optics. If Tottenham do lose to West Ham, you feel that with Tottenham being as they are in terms of the points gap, they're not going to get relegated unless they have a horrendous run of form between now and May. But losing to a team who's been so much worse this season is going to be something which is difficult to stomach. So, as you rightly say, two dead men walking, but it's the point you made about the Tottenham creative element which is lacking. Now, there is calls going to the market, but is Thomas Frank somewhat handcuffed by the fact that James Maddison and Kulusevski are both injured, that if you were to buy another player, that then you'd be overstocked by the time those two players come back from injury? So is he kind of caught in this halfway house where his defence isn't doing what it needs and the creativity isn't there? How does he solve this puzzle to get Spurs up the league?
Tottenham are a Champions League team. They're playing in the UEFA Champions League. And if you look at all the rivals who are playing European football and who have the mentality of being the top clubs in the league, they're all doing business irrespective of whether or not they've got players who can fit in the position when they're back from injury. Look at Arsenal now, they've got three strikers. You go to Aston Villa, who wanted Conor Gallagher, and you look at the amount of options they have in their midfield. They've got Onana in there, they've got Camara in there, they've got McGinn in there, and they still wanted to get a Conor Gallagher in before Spurs came and took over that deal. So I don't think you can really plan with players who are injured, who have been injured for a while, because I don't think it changes anything. I think it maybe gives room for a bit of a competition in the side. I would never tell a manager to rely on players who are currently injured, to wait for them to come back, because I think Spurs, whether you like it or not, they might be out of the FA Cup, but they're still in the Champions League. And to be honest, I have been impressed with them in the Champions League. And I think it will not be an excuse this year. Thomas Frank has said it a few times in pressers about how lowly Spurs finished in the league last year. That was last season. This is this season. And Spurs fans will not tolerate Spurs finishing somewhere in the lower echelons of the table. Remember, the man who won the Europa League and finished in 17th got sacked.
Yes, football is bizarre at the moment in the Premier League, and I think the grass is not always greener. But who's going to have that greener grass at the weekend, Tolu? It's time to put your money where your mouth is. If you are placing a bet on this encounter, which way is it going?
Um, I never like to back Spurs, but on this occasion, I think I'm going to back Spurs. I think West Ham United got way too many problems. And the thing is, when Spurs do play well, they play really well. There's a lot of contention inside of the squad. There's talk about two central defenders not being happy, but I don't think it will matter against West Ham United. I think Spurs, I think the front line, when they click, can be really good. I think they finally found a position for Colomwani, which looks good. He now plays out wide. I just feel like with West Ham United, Lucas Paqueta also has a lot of issues about wanting to leave. I feel like when Lucas Paqueta and Jared Bowen don't come to the party, which happens a lot of times, they really don't play well. So I feel like I don't think they can keep this Tottenham attack out. I think there'll be goals for both teams, but I'd go with Tottenham Hotspur win. It's not a lot of times you get a Spurs win that has value, but because of how badly Spurs have been playing lately, a Spurs win does have a bit of a value. So I'd probably go both teams to score and Spurs to win.
Damning with faint praise, I think. So good news for Tottenham, bad news for West Ham. Great analysis from Tolu. Tolu, thanks for your time as always.
Thank you very much, Dan.